What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we're going to be checking out Scott's breeding Oranda, so make sure you stay tuned to find out more. Hey Fanatics family, welcome back. As always, check out our sponsors, the links are down below, Star Fisheries and Jimmy Goldfish USA. As I mentioned in today's video, we're going to be checking out Scott's amazing Oranda, and they've actually been starting to breed. Now, hopefully you've seen our previous videos we've done with Scott. If not, there's probably a video up in this corner. And he has been actually breeding his Calico Oranda. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he sent me some footage of his Calico Oranda, and they've actually started to spawn. And also he has 2 new parrotfish, which he has added to his collection. So in today's video, we're going to be checking out that footage. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the color crosses and what different color combinations produce what different color combination of fry, whether that be metallic based, nacreous based, matte based. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the breedings and what outcome you can expect to see when you cross 2 different fish. So let's check out this amazing footage that he has collected of us of his first parent fish and also the fish spawning, and then hopefully in part 2 we'll be able to see some baby fry and watch them grow up into full adult fish. So let's check it out now. So here you can see Scott is now unboxing his brand new Calico parent fish. So he's just getting them out the bag, and I believe he got this pair of fish from Westview Goldfish. So we're going to have a quick look at them in the box, a very quick look I must say, and then after that, once they've been acclimated to the tank for a couple of days, he's then sent a video footage of them in their new home, and hopefully he's going to be breeding these together or with his current calico fish as well to produce some new offspring. Now in this video we're going to go into a little bit more detail about the different colored genes that goldfish have and what the outcome of fry will be when you cross different colored fish together. Now, as you can see, the first one, really nice sized fish. I think these are probably around that 15 to 17 centimeter mark range. And now we're going to get to see them in the tanks. As you can see, these have a calico slash Kirin kind of coloration to them. Really nice caudal fins, really nice displayed dorsal fins. Really nice hood growth as well, not too excessive, but a really nice level of hood growth, which I'm starting to appreciate a little bit more. That real dramatic hood growth that you see on some of the Thai and Chinese fish can make the fish a little bit cumbersome and make them reduce their swimming qualities and their swimming pattern as well. So having a little bit of that middle hood growth is quite nice to see on these fish. Really nice overall coloration and good body shapes as well. These are going to provide some really good parent fish to mix in with his current strain and current line of fish to start to try and strengthen that and improve it a little bit. Here you can see his other calicos. Now these are his current line that he's hopefully going to be producing some fry from. As you can see, a little bit stressed in the fins because I think they have already started to breed, and we're going to see some breeding action a little bit later in the video. But you can see really nice body shapes and really nice fins as well. Nice dorsal fins, caudal fins, and just nice swimming pattern. Not very cumbersome fish. These are really energetic fish, and they have a really nice swimming pattern to them and no buoyancy issues because they have been bred from a long line of fish. So now we can see his fish are starting to breed, and he's taken some videos of them breeding. You'll see that there are some spawning mops, some homemade spawning mops in the tanks, and the tanks are a little bit stirred up at the moment as the fish are going crazy breeding with each other. Now the different types and colorations will breed together, producing different fry outcomes, but we'll get onto that a little bit later in the video. But you can see they're breeding here. So we have the female in the front, and then we have multiple males behind. The males are chasing the female, pushing on her abdomen, pushing on her stomach area to try and push those eggs out so that they can fertilize them. Once the eggs are released, the fish then fertilize them, and then these stick onto those DIY spawning mops and the plant, which is a Lodia, in the tank as well. Now, once those eggs are released, they become really sticky once they hit contact with the water. So generally, breeders will breed their fancy goldfish, manually stripping the eggs and not letting them get into contact with any water until the sperm and eggs have met together and are fertilized. Once that egg comes into contact with the water, the micropyle, which is the small hole in which the sperm enters into the egg, starts to shut, and generally they can shut within around 60 to 180 seconds. They shut very, very quickly, and that is why a lot of breeders will hand strip the eggs to make sure they get a high rate of fertility out of their eggs. And when you're doing a natural method like this, there is a slightly lower fertilization rate. However, once these eggs have been fertilized and they attach onto the alodia or the spawning mops, they can then be removed to a separate tank where the parent fish won't start to eat them, so you can get a nice hatch rate out of the fry. We can see here in the videos we have multiple different parent fish, and this is where I want to talk about the different colorations those parent fish have and the potential offspring we might see from these fish. So first of all, there are different colorations within our goldfish. You may see some goldfish with black pigment, which is when heavy levels of melanophores are contained within the fish, and this is the dark pigment, otherwise known as melanin. Now there is also red pigment as well, which is known as ethriophores, and these have sort of two different classes of pigment. Generally, one is the carotenoids and one is peridines. Now, fish cannot assimilate the carotenoids or synthesize the carotenoids themselves, so they must get this within the diet, and that is why you can use lots of color enhancing diets within your fish to bring out those red pigments and make them a little bit more vibrant and strong. Now, an example of carotenoids could be astaxanthin, and I believe spirulina also has some carotenoid pigment in it as well. Now, there is also yellow pigments which you can find in goldfish, but we cannot see those in these calicos today, and they are otherwise known as xanthophores. Now, you may have heard of xanthic fish, which generally are a gold or yellow color, and these are highly prized fish. Generally, you don't find many goldfish that are that sort of yellow color. You can get some canary, I believe, comet goldfish, but these don't come around too often, and the xanthophores are a sort of carotenoid pigment within the fish. Now, there are also different other types of goldfish, like you've got your blackfish, your bluefish, bronze, white, red, gold, etc., and there are all different types of colorations. Now, the coloration can depend on many different factors, but generally guanine is the determining factor in the coloration and pigment of the fish. Generally, if you've got guanine present in the skin or the epidermis, you will have sort of silvery reflective scales, and we can see on these calicos here they don't have that silvery reflective scale. They are more of a matte scale, which is where guanine is absent from that. And then when guanine is partly present, you will get a sort of a nacreous kind of scale. A nacreous scale is one that is sort of matte in colour but has a little shine to it as well, and generally we can find these in those cow ranchu. I would say they're partly have guanine within the scales, and they can be sort of referred to as that nacreous colour. You'll see the bronze fish on the screen here is definitely got lots of guanine present, as those scales are really reflective and silvery. So now, once we start to breed these fish, if we are breeding two calicos together, we won't necessarily get 100% calico offspring. Generally, we might get 50% calico and then 25% more pinky coloured fish, like a nacreous matte kind of fish, which is a pinky white colour, and then maybe a 25% bronze fish, like you can see in the video as one of the parent fish we have here. Now, obviously, we will get different colorations, and there are different lines of fish producing different coloured offspring, and generally, quite a lot of the time, it is a little bit of an experiment, breeding two different coloured fish to get different coloured outcomes. Now, obviously, Scott is hoping to get calico fish from here, and any fish that aren't that calico colour will likely be culled and removed in the selection process, and I'm sure we'll cover that a little bit more in the next video. Now you can also get pseudomat fish, which are nacreous fish that have that mock metallic gene instead of nacreous metallic gene. And you can cross these in different ways to get the siblings to produce different outcomes. For example, if you cross a nacreous fish, you normally get that nacreous metallic style fish, but when you cross the siblings back with each other, you can get that pseudomat fish with some assorted metallics, and you'll generally end up with a 50-50% rate. Now hopefully this information has been quite helpful, but obviously it may be a little bit more confusing, and hopefully we'll cover it a little bit more in our second episode where we look at the fry a little more closely. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. I thought it was really awesome to see and really interesting to see the Oranda actually spawning, laying those eggs, and then hopefully, as I mentioned in part 2, we're going to be seeing some fry, and then eventually, hopefully, in a couple of months, we'll be able to see what those fry turn out into, and we're going to have probably tracking their progress a little bit throughout this year. So if you want to see part 2, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you do have any questions, then leave them down below, especially if you do have any questions for Scott, because I'm sure he'll come along and he'll answer any of your comments or queries. So that is it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.